Well, good morning and welcome back. I hope you had a great break, and we're going to get right into it. This is lesson 8 in Unit 3, Statistical Studies. We left off in Unit 7, which was analyzing graphical displays. Survey design is very important. We talked about this before because without a properly designed survey, you might create some problems with the data you collect or the data you collect. So anyway, let's look at this bell ringer. And the statement is, Rudder High School should require students to wear school uniforms. Agree or disagree? What do you think of this survey question? I want you to consider that and just think about it. What is it about this particular statement that kind of makes you, as a student, kind of say, well, hold on a second. What about us? What about our decision? Don't we have a say in this? That's kind of it. And it has to do with this word right here, require, okay? It's pretty blatantly blunt, and it's kind of right to the point saying, well, we think this, and do you agree or disagree with it? And obviously, a lot of people that are students are going to say disagree. So that's kind of the point of this bell ringer, is to get you thinking, how should we word questions that are in a survey that don't garner an answer that is not the appropriate opinion? Because it may be a student thinking, well, I don't want them to require me to wear it, but I think the uniforms might pose some pretty good situations in the future. You know, that may not be their sincere opinion about it. It may just be like, well, if you're going to make me do it, anybody told they're made to do something typically don't want to do it. So let's talk about good things. Good things in my household. 676 days, y'all. We went without water in our house, in our tiny, and now we finally have water running with a hot water heater, and it's phenomenal. My wife is very happy, and you'll learn this sooner or later. Happy wife, happy life. So there you go. All right, so let's look at these questions again. School uniforms should not be required. Now that question there, it influences the results. If you're a student, you want to agree. Unlike that last question, require students to wear, you want to disagree, right? Well, look at this one here. Standardized dress can promote a productive school environment. Now, this statement is a little more innocuous. It doesn't offend anyone. It's saying, this is what's good about it. Do you agree or disagree? That doesn't mean you agree that people should wear a dress code, or uniform. We have a standardized dress code here at Rudder High School. You're required to wear certain kinds of clothes. You can't wear skirts all the way up to your buttocks, and you can't wear tank tops. You can't wear midriff shirts that come up to above your belly button, and so on and so forth. So these questions show that the design of the survey can influence results. Standardized dress doesn't actually address the school uniform situation, does it? No. So questions in a survey should be designed to be neutral and allow an accurate recording of the opinions or facts given by the participants. Those questions should not influence a participant to answer one way or another. For example, the uniform question could be worded as follows. I am in favor of school uniforms for high school students. And then you give them a sliding scale. Strongly agree, no opinion, disagree, or strongly disagree. This is an example of a closed question because the participants are limited to their response choices that are given. Closed questions are easier and usually cheaper to analyze, and sometimes a computer can do most of the work. So these are both closed questions. You only have two answers you can give, agree or disagree, along with the first one. That's also a closed question. Well, what's an open question? An open question allows participants to give more detailed responses. It's kind of like a fill in the blank or a free response. This approach requires follow-up analysis that is actually more labor intensive. And obviously, when you have more intensive labor, there's more expense involved. So can we reword the school uniform question so that it is an open question? And how would you do it? So there are several ways to respond to this. Here's one. Tell me about your experience with uniforms, school uniforms. Now, the problem with this question is a lot of the students at Ritter High School have never had school uniforms, and those that do are very limited in their experience. So there you go. I grew up in a place that didn't have school uniforms at all either, but my son and my daughter, who both went to public schools up in Tennessee, did wear school uniforms, and I found it to be very easy on the parents. You just go to the store, and they have racks and racks of school uniforms, and they have khaki pants and blue, red, or white shirts, and that's it. How do you see school in the future with uniform requirements? This is another question that's free response, and it garners their opinion or the facts of their experience instead of asking what they feel about whether they should be required or not. They're looking for opinions. What do you think is going to happen to the school if we have all the students require the students to wear uniforms? Tell me how a school uniform requirement would affect children in school. I mean, I'll be honest with you, and I've seen this with my nieces and nephews in southern Louisiana. They're very well adjusted. They don't have problems with it, but that's my opinion, my experience. Other people might have a different opinion. So I've heard some school requirements that have school uniform requirements that say any brand that you want. Well, any brand that's going to delineate along class lines. Class lines by, I mean, upper class and lower class. The wealthy families are going to be able to go buy the brand name stuff that still fits the school uniform requirements. And the poorer population is going to have to buy the real cheap stuff over at Walmart. And there's an obvious disconnect because the more expensive brands have their little icon tags on the lapel, the chest, like Polo or Izod or Tommy Hilfiger or whatever brand you wear. You get what I'm saying. And so on and so on. Anyway, those are 3 examples. Here's another one. What are the benefits to a school uniform requirement? What are the drawbacks? And those are going to garner open-ended questions, and they're going to actually have free response to answer. Now, of course, as we said before, this takes a lot of effort to analyze. And not only do we have to take effort to analyze, we have to analyze it to the point where we understand what that particular participant was talking about. Okay? So, because the design of the survey is so important for capturing the information needed accurately, pilot surveys are often conducted. Pilot survey is used with a small number of people and then analyzed to look for the following. Question ambiguity. Does the question make sense or is it confusing? Does it really not get to the point? Leading questions, those kind of questions are ones that influence the answers of those customers. Too many people choose another or no opinion. If you've got a question that's kind of complicated, or maybe people don't really care, they're going to answer other or no opinion. You're not going to get a really good, accurate assessment of what you need for it. And other data collection problems, like for instance, you only collect at a certain point in town and you don't get the actual demographics of the people that you wanted. Instead of in your pilot survey, you're going to do something for the town and you only collect in a certain area and you don't get the whole demographics of the town. So you only get, for instance, in Bryan, you got the people that live on MLK and you don't get the people that live over anywhere else, over by Jane Long or up on Sandy Creek by the lake or downtown. So you see what I'm saying? They kind of have an issue. You're getting the opinions of people in one area and not the entire demographics of the entire town. So the following question can be worded more effectively. And describe the question problem and what effect the problem could have on the results. Then come up with a more effective wording for the question. Try to provide both a closed and open question. Now, we're going to have several of these questions. We'll go through them. This question says, I can always talk to my parents about my problems. True or false? Now, here's the deal. You see this word right here? I don't know about you, but I couldn't always talk to my mom or my dad about my problems. I couldn't always talk to my mom about the situation going on with my girlfriend, because if I told my mom about what was going on, she probably would never let me see the girl again. So you see what I'm saying? You know, back then, you kiss a girl, you get in trouble. And there you go. So anyway, people rarely commit to always or the word never on anything. It leads them to answer always false. You see what I'm saying? Or never true. It indicates that teens do not talk to their parents at all. If that question was on a survey, That's what it would indicate. We could see right away that question is leading those participants to say false. All right. Let's see. How about a closed question? I talked to my parents about my problems with the sliding scale. Strongly agree, agree, no opinion, disagree, or strongly disagree. Now, this question is a little better formed. It gives us an opportunity. It doesn't say always and it doesn't say never. Okay? And it gives them an opportunity to answer yes or no or anywhere in between. How about an open-ended question? Describe your relationship with your parents. Do you talk to them about your problems? This affords the luxury of anybody answering this question to say what they feel about this situation, not just whatever answers they're given to answer. Okay, so let's move on. Next question. Teachers and students like the new school schedule, true or false? Okay, well, now I think you can probably see right away what the main issue with this problem is. They have grouped two different types of people into the same question with diametrically opposed opinions about it. You may see that the teachers like the new schedule because it allows them more time off. But the students may not like it because they may not get the education they require in order to get into college. And guess what? Lumping teachers and students together muddies the results. Some may agree that teachers like the new schedule, but not students, or vice versa. Some in the position may answer true, while others answer false, when really they actually may feel the same way. Preparing separate questions for the teachers and the students and possibly separate survey instruments for the two groups would probably be a better idea. Here's a new way to answer that or ask that question. Closed question, I like the new schedule with a sliding scale. Open question, describe your feelings about the new school schedule. And that goes right to the point. Describe your feelings. And that's it in a nutshell. You want to know what their opinion about the new schedule is. Doesn't make them angry that they're going to make them go to school in Christmas. Or, for instance, my children went to school up in Tennessee where they had a year-round school. Now, it sounds all crappy, but it's not much different from your schedule here. You go to school for 9 weeks, you get a week off. You go for 9 weeks, you get a week off. You go for 9 weeks, you get a week off, for 2 weeks for Christmas break. And then you go for 9 more weeks and you have 2 months off. I mean, you get 2 months off right now. Wouldn't you like to have 3 weeks off during the middle of the year? You get 2 now. And it's kind of the same as we have right now. You've got Thanksgiving break and you have 2 weeks in the Christmas time and spring break. You just got to put them where the marking periods would go. So, all right. I like the school cafeteria, true or false? I know what you're thinking right now. Cafeteria food is not very good. But I know Miss Lois, and she does a really good job. And I think her food's pretty spot on. It's really good. It's nutritious. It may not be 5-star chef, but it's pretty good. So my answer would be true. I do like the school cafeteria, but many of you would probably say false. However, here's the problem with this question. It's very broad, and it doesn't give any useful information. It doesn't give pinpoint accuracy to what you're focused on in the cafeteria. If people select false, we still don't know what they don't like about the cafeteria. There's no guidance for improvement. A list of questions about specific things is needed. Atmosphere, cleanliness, prices, selection. Researcher probably needs to get specific about some of these areas. With selection, for example, asking about snacks, salads, entrees, and whether the food is hot, and so on. I think we can all agree that the cafeteria here at Ritter High School is very clean, except when the students are in it. Then it gets kind of dirty, but they get it cleaned up really quickly. You don't see a lot of mess when you go to get your food in the line. Those ladies take care of it. The food is generally hot, and it's prepared well. There's a good variety of food, good selection. So I think it's a good cafeteria. If you look at it from this perspective, that gives you a little more leeway of what you should focus this question on. So let's look at a good one. I support school activities. I didn't give any answers to that one. I wonder why. Okay, I support school activities. Also too broad. May not know what answer to select. They support some activities, not others, and then will not know which activities students like or if they do not like any of them at all. All right, here's a way you can do a closed question. Make a matrix. So you're going to give them a few different types of activities to choose from, and then a sliding scale to tell them how they feel about it. I participate, I support, I'm neutral, I wish it was canceled. Okay? Let's see. An open question: which school activities do you participate in? Which activities do you support? And what activities should not be part of the school day? Now, as you can see here, this gives them more flexibility to answer however they freely want. A face-to-face interview asks questions and records the answers of the participants on paper and electronic recording. So what's up with this? What's the pros and cons for each of this? Face-to-face interviewers can have more success than telephone interviewers at getting someone to participate, right? Yes, they can. They can also get more thorough answers by asking follow-up questions. So if you get a question answered in a way that's kind of ambiguous, you don't really get to the meat of what you're asking. And I know this from the experience of having several hundred interviews in my career as a manager, that you can ask another question that will actually pry right into that particular situation or what you want to know. On the other hand, the approach is probably more expensive. And if you're collecting data over a large geographical area, it's going to be really expensive. You got to put interviewers all over the place. As discussed previously, interviewers who are different from the participant, gender, ethnicity, and so on, can have difficulty getting cooperation. And that's true. Think of it this way. You got a gentleman from the South, okay? A gentleman from the South interviewing someone from way up north in New York City. And this guy from New York City is coming down to get a job in his company down in South Texas. There's kind of a situation there. There's a big regional gap between them, and they may have different viewpoints about things, okay? So that could be a situation that the interviewer would have a problem getting cooperation from that interviewee. All right, telephone interviewer asks questions, records the answers. I think we can tell what this is. It's less expensive than face-to-face, and it can easily cover large distances. However, more and more people are refusing to participate in phone surveys, or they don't even have home phones. That doesn't mean they can't call their cell phones now, which is something happening all the time. Computer calls homes and records answers through key processes. Now, here's the thing. It's the cheapest of all, has the worst participation rate, because people who do not hang up some people who do not hang up on another person hang up on a computer. And that's true. If I can tell it's a computer recording, I'll generally hang up. I don't want to do that. Researcher observes behaviors and characteristics and marks the survey. It can be expensive and very time-consuming, but if the instrument is well-designed, it is likely very accurate. Researcher hand-delivers surveys to participants who then fill out the surveys and turn them back in. Can be expensive, but can have better participant rates than many of the other methods we previously discussed. Here's wonder why I did that. Let's go back. Playing interviewers. Oh, this approach is less can have low participation rates. I wonder what happened there. I probably did something. Survey is mailed to participants. Less expensive, paying. That's what that word's supposed to be. This is the cheapest method, has poor participation, also results in undercoverage since not everyone has a computer with internet access. All right. Always bear in mind that whatever method of data collection is used, it is vitally important that the results be accurately interpreted and reported. This includes thoroughly disclosing the methods to the reader. I want to tell you something. This word interpreted, accurately interpreted, if you go and do this one right here, observes behaviors and characteristics and marks the survey, he has to analyze their behavior and the characteristics, and he has to interpret what he thinks they mean. And if it's a butcher block kind of situation where it's pigeonholed, if somebody does this, this is what they mean. Somebody does this is what they mean. That's not always accurate. Somebody may not be right on par that day and have a different situation. So you see where I'm coming from. So right here, I'll launch you with this. This is a survey or marketing meme. A lot of people don't get it, but you'll see it. Quant study, that has to do with merchandising and marketing. No way, too expensive and it takes too long. Focus groups, nope, too easily swayed by strong personalities. Fine, how are we going to do this market study? Monitoring social media chatter and cherry picking quotes we like. There you go. Notice the gentleman is acting like he's got a phone in his hand. So, all right, that's the end of the day. Don't forget that there's an assignment in the Google Classroom. Be sure to go in there, get that done as soon as possible. Remember, the sooner you get your stuff done, the more opportunity you have to do other things like work on your project or maybe other assignments. Don't wait till the last minute. We have some people that waited the last minute, didn't have enough time to finish all their assignments, and their grades reflected this. Please don't be that person. All right. In the meantime, have a great day and be blessed. Be a blessing.